Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, for this holiday edition of Horizon, we bring you our favorite stories from the past year, all with a central theme that makes this time of year special. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by Career Tech, a job for every Oklahoman and a workforce for every company. With additional support from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us for this holiday edition of Oklahoma Horizon. I'm Rob McClendon. Well, it's now been over 2 decades since Oklahoma native and country music artist Wade Hayes made his debut on the country charts. Now in that time, he's had his hits, performing all around the world. But the real journey in Wade Hayes' life, well, it's been a personal one. Country music success seemingly came easy for Wade Hayes.
Neon lights draw me like a moth to a flame.
Things just really snowballed. It was a really, really fast ride once I got there.
Yeah, you were young.
I was 22, 23 years old at the time. I had my first hit record when I was 24 years old.
I'm old enough to know better, but I'm still too young to care.
Old Enough to Know Better hit #1 on the Billboard charts.
Tonight's second Horizon Award nominee, Wade Hayes.
With his debut album producing another 3 top 10 singles.
It was the most incredible thing, and it was a blur. You know, so much happened, I can hardly remember all of it. And it was, to be honest with you, too much for a 24-year-old kid from Bethel Acres. I had never seen or done anything. And then all of a sudden, I'm flying coast to coast all the time and seeing things and experiencing things that I'd never dreamt that I would get to do.
And Wade Hayes' career continued to rock along with more hits despite himself.
I was, really a naive country boy. And I knew I wasn't a stupid person, but I look back and think, how stupid were you?
Shaking up my world.
It's a hard game, and you've got to have a great team on your side. I mean, you can't do it on your own.
A lesson Hayes would later be reminded of in his personal life.
What I meant to say was, I love you.
In 2011, I had been experiencing some abdominal pain and a little bit of bleeding, not to be too graphic. So we do a colonoscopy and find out I've got a tumor about the size of an orange in my large intestine. And upon further tests, discover that not only do I have cancer there, but it has spread to most of my liver, my lymph nodes, my diaphragm, and was given about a 12% chance of surviving.
What I meant to say was, what I didn't say at all.
They schedule kind of an emergency surgery, and they go in and take over 20 inches of my large intestine out, 60 to 75% of my liver, part of my diaphragm, just on the first go around. I go through recovery, and then we start the chemotherapy, and that was a really horrible ordeal. And I make it through that. And I make it exactly a year, and my tests start bleeping again that there's something wrong, and find out that I have cancer again in my lymph nodes near the original tumor site. So I get to start the whole process over again.
See how far it's spread, or just go home.
More chemotherapy, another surgery, and questions on his own mortality.
When I was going through chemotherapy, I started reading statistics, which I wouldn't advise anybody to do now, and saw what I didn't realize until that point, what serious trouble I was in. And so I At that time, I wrote a song called Is It Already Time?
Nothing I could do or say right then could change a thing. So I sat there alone, wondering, is it already time? Time to move along. Have I lived my life? Have I written my last song?
The writing, you know, was kind of therapy for me, and I walked my dog Jack every day. Even with the chemo bag hanging out of me, I had to wear it home. And the whole thing just sucked.
Is it already time?
You know, it was horrible. Just trying to shower with this needle hanging out of you and pumping poison into you and trying to sleep with it. It's just, you know.
Sure, I might have done a few things different had I known I might not get.
I allowed myself a moment to think, wow, is this really it? You know, is this how it's going to end? And then that was it. I put my head down and I started moving forward, and I did not look up.
And began a comeback on stage, this time not just singing his songs, but sharing his journey with others.
I've spoken with people after shows, total strangers, prayed with them that are facing this diagnosis, that are hurting and scared. And I can say, I understand.
One of the reasons I'm sharing this story, which again, I'm a pretty private person, but I've been adamant about telling people about this, is when I was going through this, I met a man who had been there. He'd been diagnosed similar to me, and he had made it. He made it through it, and he was still alive. And that gave me so much hope. You know, just knowing that it could be done, it gave me something to fight for. Knowing that it's possible. I imagined a day when it was done, when I was through it and I no longer had cancer. I imagined it was already done. I didn't think about the needle in my chest or the blisters in my mouth or how I couldn't touch anything or walk on anything because of the neuropathy. I thought about the day that it was finished and when I was going to feel better. And I focused my attention on that, and all of a sudden, I look up and I'm there. Don't think about how you feel at the moment. Think about a day when it's done, like you're already through it. And that helped me more than anything.
And Hayes got on with his life, began touring again with a newfound wisdom and an appreciation for life.
What got this next phase of my life going, what jump-started the whole thing, I was meeting with my oncologist. He said, Wade, you know, this is a big deal. He said, you were stage 4, and now there's no evidence of the disease whatsoever. He said, you need to go live your life.
Take it from someone who knows life ain't fair sometimes, man, it ain't even close.
You know, it really got the wheels turning and thinking about how precious this life is and how much I'd taken for granted. You know, but as far as realizing how fortunate I am, I do. And I'm thankful to be here, and I'm living every day trying to not only convey that to people, but help other folks realize it as well. You know, this is a precious thing, and it's flying by us.
Go live your life, go chase your dreams. We got no way of knowing what tomorrow brings. Swing for the fence, take that chance. Don't wake up one day to see us pass you by. Go live your life.
Now, Hayes will tell you that since recovery, he's had one of the best times of his life for the simple fact he spent much of that time focusing on others facing similar challenges. Now, when we return, the bridges of Norman, Oklahoma.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon with Rob McClendon. Weekly insight into your changing world.
Well, not everyone has family to share the holidays with. Oklahoma has one of the highest youth homeless rates in the nation. It's a troubling fact that a group in Norman is trying to fix. Joining me now with that story is our Courtney May.
Well, Rob, like you said, not everyone has someone to spend the holiday season with or somewhere to spend it. But one of the greatest things about this time of year is the gift of giving. People take the opportunity to sponsor families, or they take the time to just make someone's holiday season more memorable than it would have been otherwise. And that's exactly what Bridges in Norman does, except for they're doing it year-round.
Nearly 1 in 19 Oklahoma kids are homeless. Yet a common misconception about the homeless population is that they are all living on the streets, which is not the case. Deborah Crittenbrink is the director of Bridges in Norman, a program that is giving these homeless youth a second chance.
They're often kind of a hidden population. They're couch surfing, they're staying with friends. Some of them are on the streets, not all of them, and so it's a very elusive population to find.
Now, we are unable to show any of the current children in the Bridges program because some of their lives could be in danger. But these children go through a selection process to be placed in an apartment where they live on their own. They are required to maintain a job, pay a sliding scale rent, and attend school.
Right now, most of the students are here for two reasons. Either they were kicked out when they turned 18 for lack of room, lack of resources on their parents' part, or their parents themselves are homeless and they chose to put their kids in a better space.
Dylan Dawson is a Bridges graduate and credits his life success to the program.
I was wandering around. I didn't necessarily have a stationary single place to stay. Things were very unstable for me. Planning from day to day or into any kind of longer term plans was a very difficult thing for me to do. I was spotty in terms of being able to keep up my health and going to the dentist or the doctor, things to that extent. And Bridges really gave me the stability that I needed.
Dawson says Bridges prepared him for living on his own in college.
What surprised me was how much more prepared I was for some of those small things that you might not necessarily think about than many of my peers. You'll be surprised how many people didn't know how to do laundry or cook for themselves or anything like that, or simply just being able to live on their own.
Yet Dawson says the number one thing Bridges does for homeless youth is allow them to believe in themselves, which is something some have never done before.
I think the main problem whenever you get into bad circumstances such as homelessness is imprisoning yourself mentally, putting your own boundaries on yourself and what you can do. At the point where someone believes that they are incapable of being able to aspire to something greater, they're never going to. And that's part of the importance of Bridges, is giving us a platform to be able to believe in ourselves again.
So Courtney, what qualifies a young person to get into this program?
Well, this program is for students in the Norman School District who are facing homelessness, and their ages anywhere from 14 to 21, and they have to go through an interview process in order to be selected into the program, and then this program offers them a stable living condition and also just a support system around them.
Yeah, well, it certainly does help you appreciate friends and family this time of year. Have a happy holiday.
You too, Rob.
Want to see more stories like this? All our segments are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV.
Well, this next story is one of my favorites as well, for the simple reason you can see the excitement in the students' faces. Joining me now is the reporter who first brought us the story, our Blaine Singletary.
Hello, Rob.
So what first attracted you to the story?
Well, Rob, first of all, it's teens building robots. That alone is pretty awesome. But I remember when we first got this story, they gave us a thumb drive which had some photos, some information about the group, but also this cell phone video of the exact moment where they learned they had won the Chairman's Award, one of the biggest awards you can win at this thing. And like you said, the looks on their faces, I knew that's what we needed to ask them about.
Well, let's let everyone else take a look here.
Match start in 3, 2, 1, charge!
The heat is on at the first robotics competition. Teams of young engineers from around the region have come to put their mechanical creations to the test.
They work year-round, basically, putting together a robot to compete at the regional and the national and the world level.
That's Marty Lewis, superintendent of Gordon Cooper Technology Center in Shawnee, where the Sprockets, Team 2341, is based.
The Sprockets is an accumulation of many students that come to Gordon Cooper Technology Center from a variety of school districts that we serve. They work very hard, just a super group of young people.
While the personnel has changed over time, this supergroup has competed and grown over the past couple of decades on a variety of playing fields. The theme changes every year, and that's something that Captain Kai Collins says shapes their entire project.
Okay, so this year's game was called First Stronghold. It had a medieval theme. The objective was to go over different obstacles. They swap in and out, so you never know what you're going to go up against.
The students only have 6 weeks to design and build their robot after the season's theme is announced.
We had the brainstorming night, so we decided what we wanted to do, what we wanted it to do. So we built it to its specifications. We tested it on the field elements, slowly learned what we can and can't do, what we need to improve on, what we can change to get a certain mechanism down.
But this short season of building and competition is just one sliver of what the Sprockets do all year long. Senior Michaela Fest tells us her time with this team has been just as beneficial for her as it has been for the community.
Sprockets has been just a way to reach out to the community and help others and have fun at the same time, driving robots, building, learning how to use tools and learn how to use computer programs, LabVIEW, CAD. It's all these things in one. It's not just robotics.
So imagine the feeling when the Sprockets were sitting in the stands, fresh from the fight, and listening as the awards were given out.
About 5 or 6 awards out, I went out in the hall and was pacing.
We were holding hands, all of our team, we were linked hand in hand.
Whenever we're announcing the awards, they kind of give a hint.
Such as how Sprockets, they meshed together to form the best team possible.
They actually mentioned how we would play rock, paper, scissors to choose who took who home.
The judges didn't have to play rock, paper, scissors to pick this year's Chairman's Award winner.
And our hearts just sunk because we didn't know what that meant.
No one really realized that. We're like, what team can that really be referencing?
So about halfway through the speech, I'm like, well, we did good, we didn't win. And then they started saying a few things that kind of sounded like us.
From mentoring FLL to outreach that touches children in hospitals.
They started talking about our Lego drive, and we just got, that's us.
Please join me in congratulating Team 2341.
Our entire team pretty much just jumped up at the same time. I look over, see our instructor jumping up and down.
My students told me when I came screaming through the door that they thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Oh my word, it was the best feeling ever. I'll always hold that as a special part of my memory.
Winning the Chairman's Award automatically qualified them for the World Championships months later in St. Louis. But beyond all of that, the experiences these young people had are ones they will take with them as they continue to hone their skills and, more importantly, use them for the good of all. Again, Marty Lewis.
It's always refreshing. It's always reminds us why we do what we do when we have young people that do great things. They really make a difference in the community, and this is just a way of exemplifying what the great things are that they do.
So, Blaine, what's next for the Gordon Cooper Sprockets?
Well, Rob, in just a couple of weeks, the Sprockets and teams from around the world will learn what the theme for this coming year is, and they'll just get to work 6 weeks to put it all together again.
We look forward to seeing how they do this year. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too, Rob.
Horizon is at your fingertips. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to catch the segments you may have missed and our latest new content as it happens.
Finally today, family is such an important part of this holiday, and I think this next story demonstrates so well that family doesn't have to be blood relations.
It is a stretch to say there are 25 residents in Crawford, Oklahoma. Still, it was no surprise when several times that number gathered in the community, celebrating the 40th birthday of Eric Kugel, nicknamed the Mayor of Crawford.
Eric is a very social person. He loves to be around kids. He loves to be around other people.
Nyla Kugel is Eric's mother and caregiver.
He never waits for someone to speak to him first. He's always the first one there and to tell them hi and give them a big old smile.
That smile is famous in these parts. It is more genuine than most and belies levels of fortitude and resolve that is apparent to anyone who knows him.
Eric has cerebral palsy with both athetoid and spastic characteristics. One is too much movement and one is kind of a stiff characteristic.
This leaves Eric's body in perpetual motion, but forces him to fight for control. It affects his mobility and his language skills, but not his mind, and certainly not his attitude.
I've had a lot of mentors, a lot of people who's affected my life, but Eric Kugel has changed my life for the better.
Rick Garrison was superintendent of Cheyenne Public Schools and Nyla's boss when she lost their daytime caregiver. Rather than giving up a valuable employee, he suggested she bring Eric to work and see how it went.
I call him the assistant superintendent now. I mean, he kind of takes care of a lot of things that you don't think he really does take care of. He's a hall monitor. He goes outside and takes care of the grounds, and so, you know, being in the condition he does, he brings a lot of value to our school, and he's really been an unexpected blessing.
And that is the point. By including Eric in the daily life of the school, it is the school that was changed.
What Eric has gained doesn't measure up in any magnitude to what he's given to our school and community. He sees himself in the John Wayne movie True Grit, where John Wayne's sitting high on the horse and he puts the reins in his mouth and he draws out his 6 shooters and he stares down the 4 bad guys, and that's really how Eric Kugel sees himself. He's larger than life, and a guy that he can't talk very well. His body has denied him in several ways, but yet he sits high on that horse, and man, he takes on the bad guys every day.
He's on the lookout every day when my kiddos leave for lunch, making sure they're not doing what they're not supposed to be doing, and hot rodding in the parking lot. Boy, he'll be the first one to come tell me on them when they do that.
Cheyenne High School principal Whitney Moore.
He cares, and he gets really upset when he thinks someone is not doing what is right. And it just really, it gets to him, it really bothers him. Some people can look the other way and think, that's not my problem, that's not my business, but Eric wants to be involved because he cares.
Still, the biggest impact Eric has on this school is from being there every day, a fixture in these children's lives.
He's put a positive attitude throughout the school, and when you see Eric, you just always get in a better mood. He makes you happy because he always says hi to you, makes your day better.
Joshua Montgomery grew up next door to Eric.
To me, Eric's just another person. Yeah, he has that, but to me, it's just nothing that's really holding him back. I still think he's just a normal person, just out there having fun. I just see him as a good friend, like I see all my other friends.
There's one little boy in particular that was scared to death of Eric. I mean, if Eric was anywhere close, he was so scared. And now he comes by every day after school wanting to know where Eric is, and how's Eric, and what's he doing.
They see the challenges he faces every day, and they interact with him, and they don't, you know, some kids don't ever interact with people that face challenges and don't know how to interact with them, and our kids do.
Eric Kugel spreads joy as he rides high down these hallways. In doing so, he banishes stereotypes, fear, and anxiety.
It warms your heart, you know, to think that what he does makes a difference in somebody else's life, you know.
Eric Kugel, a humble cowboy riding high in the saddle.
Well, joining me now is our Austin Moore. So, Austin, how'd you find Eric?
Well, this is where I have to give up any pretense of having journalistic distance here. Eric Kugel and I have been friends since 6th grade. In fact, Rob, I want you to take a look at this video. This is the Cheyenne High School class of 1994, right? Small class, This is Eric Kugel, and that's me.
A much, let's say, lighter and less hairy.
Very much so, very much so. But the impact that Eric and his family, and this is the guy we called Hot Rod back in high school, the impact they had on my classmates and I, it was phenomenal. It changed who we were as people spending every day with him. So when I found out that he was back in the high school, I knew that was a story we had to share.
Oh, we're certainly glad that you did. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we start off the new year with our annual Economic Outlook. 2017 and our economy on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, thanks for including us as part of your day. I'm Rob McClendon. Hope to see you back here next week.